Hey, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the Great Millstone, who do rule and teach well. Peace, blessings, salutations, as always, to sincere Akim, noiseless gospel abroad, keeping the faith, diligence, and testimony of our Lord Yahushai, occupying the prophecies until our Lord come, and to the few sincere Aqua through listen and learn as well. To you I say Shalom. Get a sip of this real quick. Yeah, sipping on some Moroccan mint green tea, Very good for inflammation, gut health, wound healing, even your cognitive function as well. It just depends on what grade of Manuka honey that you get. The higher the MGO, the more health benefits you get out of it. Also antibacterial as well. Very good. But yeah, so I want to get into a few articles here. Just going into the happenings of the times, and per usual, where obviously in the time of war, heightened war, it's been a lot going on over there in that Strait of Hormuz, and as we've been showing you, man, that pretty much all the signs are there for economic collapse, food scarcity, famine, and also now you see here that these devils, which they've been pushing for this, but now you have Palantir, right? Which the heads of Palantir, all right, this guy, Alex Karp, which is a small hat, all right? It's always a small hat at the forefront of pushing for some wickedness, you know what I'm saying? But this is what they're saying now. U.S. draft update. Palantir urges universal national service, right? Alex Karp, CEO of the software firm Palantir Technologies, speaks during the annual meeting of the W to the E to the F in Davos, Switzerland, Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. All right, so they did have a meeting earlier this year, and that was pretty much to finalize what you see going on right now, okay? Pushing this surveillance state, Palantir, jumping off these different wars, instating drafts, instating pandemic protocols that are going to come down the pipe very soon as well. So these devils always come together before they release their plan. And, this happened at the beginning of the year, and you see these things playing out now. But it says here, a major U.S. technology company ignited controversy after urging the federal government to adopt a system of universal national service, a move that critics say edges toward endorsing a military draft. And see, the men of the Lord, starting with the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, all right, have been bringing it out that Esau, he's going to do a draft because, when you look at the current standing military for Babylon the Great, and we'll get into another article to show you, but we've been bringing it out as well that brought it out the other day that over 70% of Americans have ill sentiments towards the small hats. You see what I'm saying? So the overwhelming majority of these Babylonians do not believe in this war, and damn sure do not want to die for the small hats. You know what I'm saying? Because that's really what it's all about. You know what I'm saying? But we always reference how that devil, Satan Yahoo, all right, he said in November last year that in 2026, your sons and your daughters will die for the small hats, all right? He said that, and he meant it, okay? Now you have more of the elite underlings, okay? Lower level luminaries, such as this guy right here, Alex Karp, they're now calling for pretty much a conscription to be instated, and they are going to do it, all right? They are going to do it, and that's currently why they're taking away the jobs. They're increasing the cost of living, and they're pretty much messing up everybody's life, man, because these elites, these devils understand that as long as people are comfortable and people have some sort of society to live for, some type of dream or hope they can hold on to, nobody wants to die, man. And see, this is why when you go back, because we coming back into the same time, man. You know what I'm saying? Like when you go back to the time of the Great Depression with FDR, right? You had the Great Depression of the 1930s, and the Depression didn't end until really after World War II. Okay, so in 1929, the small hats they crashed the stock market. Okay, everything went to hell. All right, you had wealthy people lining up in soup kitchen lines. Okay, just to eat, get bread and then water. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was pretty much outside of the elites were down and out. All right, and that lasted for some time until they jumped off World War II and America got involved. That's when the production for war started to pick up. And that's when economically, America was lifted out of that depression state. But the point why I bring that up is because we're coming into the same time again, all right? Because we see that these devils, they're manufacturing another Great Depression. We've gone into it over the years. This is going to be a Great Depression 2.0. All right, this is going to be even worse than what happened back in 1929, 1930. You know what I'm saying? Because now they pretty much have the people dependent on going to the elites, going to Esau for everything. You know what I'm saying? At least back then, more people, they were pretty much coming off the farm. All right, so people knew how to, tend to livestock. People knew how to cultivate, grow plants, and sustain for themselves pretty much. I mean, it was still rough, but people back then fared a lot better than how people are going to fare now, because the average person in Babylon the Great today has no idea how to tend to animals, has no idea how to plant a garden, grow food at all. And then on top of that, they have these people all cramped up in these cities to where you really can't operate like that. Okay, so when they bring, because the stocks are going to crash again, and it's going to be because of this war, prices are going to get extremely high, and a lot of companies are going to bail out. And that's going to cause a collapse, which is what they want, man. All right. So we coming into the Great Depression 2.0. So they about to have people hurting. Well, already people already are hurting. And the answer to get America out of that slump is, of course, it's going to be we need to put a draft in place and lift ourselves out of this war, just like it was the first time in the 1930s, man. So this is why you had these devils calling for universal national service, okay? It says here, in the post on X Sunday, Palantir shared a number of rules, including one that read, national service should be a universal duty. And who is this really coming from? Is this really coming from Palantir? No, this is coming from the elites, all right? This is coming from Satan Yahoo, okay? Because we know all these devils, they're all plugged in together. All right, but if they come out and say it, that's going to cause a lot of uproar, you know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, whoever they get as a talking head to come out and, bring these things to the forefront, it's still not going to end well, because right now, people already don't trust the government. You see what I'm saying? People already are not too fond of these small hats, okay? And it's watch. It's all going to come down to the common denominator, okay? Who's really pushing the envelope to get people sent off to war? It's really these, small hats, okay? America is in this war on behalf of the small hats. This war has nothing to do with America. Only reason why Babylon is in this thing is because, Bibi came over here 7 times to pretty much sell this war and get America drawn into this thing, which is biblical prophecy. But it all works toward the greater good or the greater goal of WW3. Okay? So reading on. National service should be a universal duty. We should, as a society, seriously consider moving away from an all volunteer force because nobody's volunteering. Okay, again, people do not believe in this war. They don't believe in the rhetoric, the propaganda. All right, that's trying to that those that are in the position of power are touting to the people. Nobody believes in it, man. All right, so this is why the volunteer force is not working, and they're gonna pull another Vietnam. Okay, they're gonna pull another Vietnam. Okay, which the reason why they had to do a draft in Vietnam is because that war was very unpopular, the same as this one is. So because they really couldn't get the recruitment even back then, they said, okay, we're going to do a draft for this thing. And of course, there was a lot of rebellion behind it. There were a lot of draft dodgers, and it's going to be the same thing now. All right. It says move away from an all volunteer force and only fight the next war if everyone shares in the risk and the cost. Now, this shows you that you're dealing with Satan, man. Because why would you come out and say that we're not, that number one, you're going to do away with an all volunteer force, all right? So you want to force people into a war that has nothing to do with them, which shows you how these elites think about the people, man. This shows you that the elites view the average American Babylonian as goyim, as an expendable, useless eater, cattle. All right, they look at you as a resource, man, and the only good that you can do is to serve their interests. They don't see these devils. They don't give a damn about your job. They don't give a damn about your house, your car. They don't give a damn about nothing you got going on. They don't give a damn about your family. The way they see it, you're only alive. You're only alive to benefit their interests, and if you no longer serve their interests, then your ass got to go. And that's also why they about to do away with a lot of people through these diseases and famine and war and all this type of stuff, because a lot of the people, they no longer have a use for it because they bringing in now the AI and the robots. See? So we in that time to where, as it says in Revelation 12 and verse 12, that the devil shall come down unto you having great wrath, for he knoweth that he hath but a short time. These devils are coming down with great wrath. All right, and those that refuse to abide by this conscription order, that's why they got ICE out here. You know what I'm saying? Like what they've been doing with ICE and rounding up Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom, okay? They're gonna do this to the average Babylonian when it's all said and done. Same thing they're doing in Ukraine. They're going around grabbing people up off the streets, putting them on the front lines of Ukraine to die. They're gonna do the same thing here. All right, they're gonna be going around knocking people out, throwing them in the back of black vans, hauling you off to a concentration camp, to a detention center. All right, giving your ass some fatigue, some combat boots, and a rifle. All right, and you gotta be ready when they say go. That's what time we in, man. All right, because they already know people are not just gonna lay down and just, okay, you said I gotta go to the Middle East. Well, so be it. No, man. People are gonna be draft dodging. It's gonna be rebellion. A lot of people are gonna choose to go to jail. They can't lock everybody up, but they're gonna try to. Okay, and that's why they're building over 1,000 detention centers across Babylon the Great, mainly concentrated in the major cities and the surrounding areas, because they're gonna need to lock up those that dissent against the small hats and those that dissent against going to war. So the enemy is about to come in like a flood, man. You best believe that. Isaiah 59. But notice how they said everyone shares in the risk and the cost. But everyone did not cause this war. So why do you need to impose that on people, man? But again, showing you that this man is the devil, man. Esau. The spirit which is lifted up in him is not upright. The call from Palantir Technologies drew attention online after its post was reposted, prompting debate about the role of private defense tech firms in shaping national policy. And it shows you who's really in control. Okay, that the technocrats now, they're giving orders. Okay, they're giving suggestions now on how you should live your life. You see? So as we tell you, man, look, uh these devils, they have no good intentions. Everything that they're doing is to destroy. And that's why they're here. See, this is why in this time you have to be grounded in Yahweh Bashmel Shai, because what's coming down the pipe, what they're about to do, it's about to shake a lot of people up. And if you ain't grounded in this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, then you gonna fold. All right? You gonna fold to what these devils got coming, and the Lord is not gonna be with you. And that's a scary thing. You see? Let's see here. It says here, the company has won major Pentagon contracts. See that? So Palantir and the Pentagon, which they're connected because this surveillance infrastructure that they got being set up with, putting cameras everywhere, and the AI and the robotics coming in now, taking over. That's also a military operation as well, because it's going to be interconnected to where they're going to be able to spy on the people, look at what you're doing, look at what you're saying online, and all this and that. And whoever dissents or whoever has ill favor towards them, that they're going to be able to come in by force and by law to deal with you however they see fit. Okay, so we're in a system of complete tyranny on this earth. It says its platforms are used for battlefield decision making, logistics, and targeting support in multiple conflict zones. Blah blah blah. A universal national service system usually means requiring or strongly encouraging all young adults to spend a period, often 1 to 2 years, serving the country in some structured way. Similar systems are in place in South Korea and Israel, which require citizens to join the military at age 18. Other options don't necessarily require military enlistment, but instead participation in civil service work, such as infrastructure projects, environmental conservation, disaster response, public health work, and educational support. Okay? And we already saw that Germany, they already pretty much banned all young men, all right, from leaving the country for a period of time. You know what I'm saying? Because they about to do that draft over there in the EU as well. Okay, so we're in a time where these drafts are about to come forth, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, check this out as well. Because this shows you, all right, that the overwhelming majority of young people, period, you know what I'm saying? But especially the younger generation have no interest in anything that these small hats got going on. And they're against this fraudulent war. Okay, 86% of Ohio University. So that's damn near 100%, man. Okay, so they know that the overwhelming majority of people do not agree with the bullshit that they try to bring down the pipe. So again, this is why a draft will be necessary and it will happen in the future. 86% of Ohio University students vote in favor of anti-small hat referendum. The overwhelming majority of students at Ohio University recently voted in favor of a referendum demanding the school divest from the small hats, even though they are not allowed to do that by law. So by law, you are not allowed to divest from the small hats. You see that? So who runs America? If it's against the law to speak against the small hats, to divest from them, to not give them welfare, okay, and to not fight for them, well, who really wants America? You see, these Babylonians have not realized yet that it's over, man. All right, they have not yet realized that your country for a long time has not been under your control. Okay, all the taxes you pay, who does it go to? It goes to the small hats. Okay. All of your benefits that the American people should get, they give it to the small hats. Because why? They're the number one welfare state on the planet Earth. But then they'll, scream at Pookie and Ray Ray, all right, and Shaquisha, all right, for getting food stamps, all right. But really, that only represents a small percentage of where the welfare is going. Okay, when you really look at the real raw numbers and you look at who really benefits from DEI and social programs and grants, it's the small hats. They're the number one recipient of government aid. Okay, nobody else even comes close. It's them. You see what I'm saying? So you're not even allowed to divest from the small hats according to the law. It also says here, the recent news came after anti-small hat and anti-sim. See, there they go with the anti-sim bullshit. Okay, which the world is tired of that, man. Anytime somebody speaks against the small hats, so they bring out truth regarding them, they always go to the anti-sim. You hate this small hat. Like, come on, man. People not buying that shit no more because they realize that it's a cop out. They won't deny the accusations, but they'll throw out the anti-Sem all day long. People are tired of it. And anti-Sem rhetoric was exposed on campus, with the university officials allowing students to spread the anti-small hat and pro-Hamas messages while also allowing Jewish hating and Holocaust support podcaster Myron Gaines to visit the campus and spread his beliefs among students. Okay, the student newspaper reported that the bill received unanimous support. See? So they were pretty much all on one accord when it came to being against the small hats in this war. Support from the student senate. After that, the bill went to a student referendum and 86% supported it. Okay, so that's pretty much all we need right there. You can read the rest of the article in your own time. But the point is that the world is coming against these small hats because their iniquity, right? Let's get it. Esau, Edom as a nation, period, but mainly these small hats because why? They are the first of the nations. Okay, they are at the forefront of why everything is all messed up in the earth because they run and control everything. Okay, this is Job 20 and 23. When he is about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. It is drawn and cometh out of the body, yea, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall. Terrors are upon him. All darkness shall be hid. In his secret places a fire not blown shall consume him. It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. All right, so the tabernacles of Edom, all right, when it's all said and done, are going to be made completely desolate, man, because this is the determination of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right, but before this man goes down, before the Lord upsets this man's plans and his agenda, he must be exposed. Okay, which that's happening right now. That there's so much exposure coming out on these Edomites that it's really crazy, man. Like this is how you know that the Lord is visiting the earth. It's because these Edomites never has so much exposure been coming out on them as it is right now. I mean, you've had like bits and pieces like in past years to where people have gone in on the history of and really pinpoint certain things, but now it's like everybody is calling out the small hats. Everybody is going in on Esau, Edom. Like, it's crazy to see, man, but really it's the spirit of the Lord that's being poured out on all flesh in these last days, showing you that the Lord, he is against Esau, man. Okay, that there is no salvation for these Edomites. Okay, but before they're destroyed, this is it. Job 20 and 27, the heaven shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. The increase of his house shall depart, and his goods shall flow away in the day of his wrath. This is the portion of a wicked man from Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and the heritage appointed unto him by Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. okay, which is destruction, man. That he's not gonna feel quietness in his belly. He's not gonna ride off into the sunset and live happily ever after, man. No, okay, that's a vain imagination. These Edomites are gonna be judged, all right. And who's at the forefront of this Edomite rulership? Amalek, the small hats. See, but yeah, it says that the earth shall rise up against them, and that's what's going on, man. Everybody is against the small hats. Everybody holds anti small hat talking points, man. Everyone has this spirit on them to be vehemently vehemently Salakia against these people. Why? Because it's the spirit of the Lord that's enveloping the earth. And that vibration first started with the prophets. Okay, now everyone is on that vibration. All right. And check this out. Okay, this is from Reuters. Exclusive. Saudi Arabia threatens to ditch dollar oil trades to stop NOPEC. Okay, so basically what's about to happen is Saudi has now threatened to get rid of the dollar and now start trading in Chinese yuan, which this is going to be huge because that's pretty much how the dollar was able to hold so much power, hold so much value, because really the only thing the dollar is backed by is the military, is backed by the sword. Okay, in America they were able to go around and just bully these nations and just tell them what they're going to do, and they would have to it because they were afraid of being nuked, or they were afraid of being sanctioned by America. Okay, but now that those Gulf Arab states, now that they seeing that Iran is holding its own against America and has been for over a month now, you know what I'm saying? Now these nations are starting to get more bold. Okay, now they're starting to make threats and say that, hey, we about to get off the dollar. Okay, with Saudi, they would have never had this type of bravado 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Okay, not even 10 years ago would they have talked like this. But see, it shows you that now we in a different time. Okay, the Lord is now putting a spirit on these nations to raise up against the whore. And furthermore, we we know that this also adds to the coming of the MOTB. Because see, once all these nations start dumping the dollar, which that's happening right now as we speak, okay, nations are no longer trading in USD like that, okay? Which is why you're seeing the inflation is going up so fast. And it's only going to get worse, man. Like the longer that this war goes on, it's only going to get worse. Okay, they're talking about by May, which there's supposed to be a new Fed chair coming in May that's going to make some major financial changes to this current system, which is right on time the way that this war is going, to where Trump has already said that we need an overhaul of this current financial system in Babylon. Okay, which what are they about to do? These devils are about to go digital. Okay, which means that the MOTB is right around the corner. And before World War III goes nuclear, the mark must come first. You know what I'm saying? So prophecy is lining up just as Yahweh Bashmil Shah said that it would. But tapping into this article, Saudi Arabia is threatening to sell its oil in currencies other than the dollar if Washington passes a bill exposing OPEC members to U.S. antitrust lawsuits. They said the option had been discussed internally by senior Saudi energy officials in recent months. Two of the sources said the plan had been discussed with OPEC members, and one source briefed on Saudi oil policy said Riyadh had also communicated the threat to senior U.S. energy officials. Okay, now when they stop trading oil in the USD, okay, because that's how these nations get this cheap oil like that, because the dollar is currently the reserve currency. But once these major oil producing nations stop using the USD like that, it's going to be a ripple effect, okay? Oil is already, high, okay, diesel is already high, you know what I'm saying? But you're going to see a snowball effect happen the more nations start to get off of the use of the dollar. Because right now, the whole world is pretty much protesting America, okay? And they're about to take it to the financial level to where the dollar is about to become obsolete. And that's going to be grounds for these devils to now usher in the digital currency, man. Okay, that's going to be the solution. That's going to be the new wave in which they want to put in place, so that what none might buy or sell save he that had the mark. That ultimately was coming. All right, so watch out for that. And this right here as well. Okay, Paulson calls for emergency plan to prevent Treasury market collapse. So in the midst of all these threats going around and the nation's talking about we ain't gonna use the dollar no more, and calls for a military draft and the economy, people losing jobs. All right, these economists, they're calling for an emergency plan to prevent a treasury market collapse in the midst of all of this. You see what I'm saying? Spirit Airlines, they talking about they about to go bankrupt because the jet fuel is too high and they can't get it. Okay, so things are rapidly changing, man. Yahweh Bashmi Shai is working on this current world. Former Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson urged U.S. authorities to develop a backup plan to prevent a potential collapse in demand for treasuries. Because these nations, they're dumping U.S. treasuries, man. Okay, they're selling off their U.S. bonds at record rates. And the biggest country right now I can think of off top is Japan. They pretty much getting rid of all they U.S. treasuries. You see what I'm saying? Because, again, there's a protest against Babylon. It says, warning such an event would have severe consequences. Paulson said officials need an emergency plan on the shelf so it's ready to go when we hit the wall, which the answer for that, what they plan to have on the shelf is digital currency, digital IDs. That's what they about to bring forth. See, they're about to implement the Genius Act and what was in the Big Beautiful Bill. That's what's about to come forth. Okay, so that's what they're talking about behind closed doors. This is the crisis that they need, an economic collapse. The former Treasury chief said a breakdown in the $31 trillion market for U.S. government debt would differ from the financial crisis he managed 2 decades ago. During that crisis, the government had fiscal resources to address the credit meltdown, he said. However, in the U.S. public debt crisis, when you hit the wall and you're trying to issue treasuries and the Fed is the only buyer and the prices of the treasuries are going down and interest rates are up, that's a dangerous thing. Okay, so bottom line is these devils, they're preparing for an economic collapse. And these Babylonians are about to feel this thing, man. Okay, they already feeling the squeeze, but once they shut this whole system down and they go lights out and they reset, that's when reality is really going to kick in, man. Because this society, as we always say, is about to go Mad Max in a minute here, all right? It won't be too much long before they decide to pull the plug, you know what I'm saying? Like, they just have things outlined for a particular time, okay? So let's get Ecclesiastes 12th chapter, right? Ecclesiastes chapter 12, remember Yahweh in your youth. Ecclesiastes 12:1, remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not. And we are surely coming upon, we're in evil days, all right, but the time of Jacob's trouble, Daniel 12:1, all right, those scriptures that, we always bring out, all right, that's the time we're coming into, a time like no other. All right, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. While the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble, right? The keepers of the house goes into the economists, those that watch the stock markets and things like that, all right, shall tremble. And the strong men shall bow themselves and the grinders cease, right? Because they are few, all right? And every day that goes by, there's fewer and fewer jobs. You know what I'm saying? Just go on YouTube and type in job loss or job layoffs, man. Okay, there's endless videos right now of people just just losing their job. You know, business owners having to close up shop because they can't afford to, keep the operation going. You see what I'm saying? So we're in that time of what our Lord Yahweh Shah warned us about, the beginning of sorrows. Okay, all these things coincide together. And the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the streets, when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Also, when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fears shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets. Okay, so we're in a time, all right, where people are in a state of mourning. Okay, nothing is hidden like how we used to, man. Like, truly, the mirth of the land is gone. Like, uh, usually like hear people talk about how basketball ain't what it used to be, football ain't what it used to be, like music ain't what it used to be, even the food. Like, people are starting to notice, like, yo, like the luster of this world is fading away. Okay, and why is that? Because the fashion of this world is passing away. Okay, the Lord is putting an end to this shit, man. Call Lord Yahweh Shai. All right, because it's been long overdue, man. Okay, the club don't excite you no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, nothing is what it was. Okay, now people have a lot of nostalgia for how it was back in the day, man, because nothing now is really substantial in any type of way, you know? But that's all the judgment from Yahweh Bashmi Shai, you know what I'm saying? He's destroying Egypt from within, okay? Second Ezra's 15. Matter of fact, I think that's in the next chapter. Yeah, check this out. Second Ezra 16 and verse 22. For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine. Okay, famine is also coming. And the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. The trees shall give fruit, and who shall gather them? The grapes shall ripen, and who shall tread them? For all places shall be desolate of men. And the scripture here is speaking about severe depopulation of the earth, okay, which these devils are, because, Esau, he's the sword of the Most High. So Yahweh Bashmo Shai is using Esau to basically bring these prophecies to pass on the left-hand side. Okay, Esau is a, just think about Esau like a death angel on the left-hand side, man, okay? That's what he set up to do, to take peace from the earth, to bring death, suffering, mourning, to, as it says in John 10:10, to steal, kill, and destroy. All right, that's the devil's MO. All right, and when you go down, it says here, because they're calling for the war draft, right? Verse 33. The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. In the wars shall their bridegroom be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. You see? So these wars prophetically are going to develop the earth, man. And it's not only in America, Babylon the Great. Now, it's going to be the worst here in Babylon the Great because these people, they're too comfortable here. Okay, they're not used to the realities of war. Okay, in these other nations overseas, over there in the Persian Gulf, over there, in Western Asia, saying they're used to the realities of war every single day. Okay, those people live much harder lives over there in that region, man. Like, they don't have all the comforts that are here in America, Babylon the Great. Okay, people are much more modest. All right, but when you come here, everybody's proud as hell. Everybody feel like they a celebrity. Everybody want to drive nice cars and feel like, they just winning. All right, but the Lord about to take all that pride away, man, because now is the time for judgment to go forth. You know what I'm saying? And the way the Lord's going to judge a lot of these people is by offering them with the sword. All right, and that's going to come in the form of brutal warfare, okay? In which many people are going to die from the sword and also of hunger, famine. All right, so it's one or the other, man. Either your ass going to starve to death or, you know what I'm saying, you going to get blicked down in World War III. But either way, yo, if you ain't right with your how about your shy, your judgment is coming. Okay, so all these things that you see happening, man, all these things are going to come to pass, okay, at the appointed time. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out right here, Lord willing. This lesson has been edifying through the Rakakadash. Call Allah Yahweh by Shemel Shai by Shem Rakakadash. And until next time, Lord willing, shalom to the elect. Kol Yashala. Bye bye bye. Shalom.